great expertise in the IT industry to take things to the next level. Are we super impressed? The stage is all yours.
Honored to be here.
Right.
And it's always a difficult task to be the last speaker in this kind of conference. But
You have another one.
No, you do have.
Second to last.
Okay,
Yes.
second to last. Yeah. So, how many of you want to save money to your business? All right. I think everyone would raise a hand. All right, let's get to the presentation. And did you come across this comic before? And if so, does it resonate with you?
Yes.
If yes, you can raise your
I
hand.
did this
Let's
example
give it
2 weeks back to my
2 weeks back. All right. And anybody else would like to resonate with this?
Yeah, most of the.
Maybe before starting your entrepreneurship journey, maybe before starting your entrepreneurship journey,
Yeah.
right? It is something when we tend to question the status quo, people are not so keen on incorporating that change. Everybody want to have change, but they don't want to be part of that particular change, right? So here, if you observe the comic, these guys are doing a lot of hard work, pulling the square pegs and all, right? The other person is trying to advise him coming with a wheels, but they're not keen on taking it, right? So this is all I'm going to talk about in the next 15-20 minutes, and then let's move on to the next one. All right, so I'm going to ask you a lot of questions, guys. So what do you infer from this image?
And you can pick up anybody, right? So we have to make sure everybody's paying attention.
No, I'd like to open it to the floor. Anybody?
That's how the boy wants to feel.
And I think Ankit is going to give a goodies to whoever is going to answer my questions.
The drinks on me.
Or maybe extra beer coupon, right?
That's the boy's dream.
It's a boy's dream, okay?
I'm
Just
sorry.
like there.
Expectation is high.
Aim big.
Expectation is high.
All right, very close, pretty close.
I'm strong.
Don't think I'm weak.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You nailed it, Farana. You nailed it. So it's about you're stronger than you think you are. And I'm going to make you stronger than you think you are toward the end of the presentation. Are you up for it?
Yes.
All right, let's move on. So lean in IT and IT-enabled services. Many of us think, and we have this conception saying that lean can be implemented only in manufacturing or healthcare, aviation. But have you ever thought of implementing lean in IT and IT-enabled services? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. All right. To a certain extent?
I think fully.
Fully. Wonderful. Thanks, Raj. All right. So before we dive deep into the concept, let's watch a brief video clip. And I'm going to ask you questions out of this video, guys. Please pay attention to it.
Lucky that.
Right, put it on the left, bagging and hood. This is burger, and then this is burger slide. We can just move those.
Is it from the McDonald's
Mix
menu?
your soft drinks. Okay. And we have a go through motions, making for 10 burgers and fries. All right, Steve, anticipate that. You gotta take the tray level. Okay. Dick is running around with the stick, marking where all the equipment should be. Tuck in. Tony, are you gonna skip the signals when we're really doing it? Over and over, hashing it out, choreographing it like some crazy burger mouth. We're over there. Yes. No. No. Everybody stop! Stop! Garnish 1. Garnish 2. You got pickles, you've got onions. It's a goddamn hamburger. Come on, clear off. Let's clear it off. I'm gonna take a shot. And then root beer orange. See all this open space here now? We've rearranged the fry situation, so now stage left, correct, stage right. Again. That's great. Come on, guys. We're pretty side up here. Yeah, watch it. Just the timing. Those are finished burgers. Hold it. I still think there's a third version. What do you want to move? Want to move everything? Back to stage left, please. This is better. Is that all right? Yes, I guess let's assume our bad mistake. Okay. Finally, after about 6 hours of this, we get it just right. Sit down. The Speed Feed system is one of the world's first ever systems to deliver food fast. It is totally revolutionary.
All right, so here comes my first question. So what is that video clip is all about? I think Angit has nailed it, but yeah.
Kitchen?
Kitchen. And do you know what is the movie all about? Which movie was that? No, it's not. Founder. Right? And this is the real implementation of lean actually. Like, before you get into streamlining your process, right? These guys got into tennis court, volleyball court, right? And they started laying out the process in terms of how do we make it efficient. And if you, what is one key takeaway out of that video before I reveal about it?
Best practice?
Organized.
Best practice?
Organized, best practice, there is one quote that guy was talking.
Flow.
Slow motion flow.
Flow motion, it's a
With
symphony of efficiency rather than waste of motion, right? So that is what we are going to achieve by implementing lean. Alright, so let us dive deep into lean. Not so deep, because if we were to dive deep, it takes at least 5 days for us. Let us try to touch the surface of it, right? So first of all, let's try to bust the lean myths. Many of you, since I don't want to count myself because I've been breathing Lean Six Sigma for the past 15 years or so. Like, many people think that lean is all about less employees are needed. It's not about cutting headcount less. It's about being creative. It's about achieving efficiency and being efficient. And people are under the assumption that it's only for manufacturing processes or the manufacturing sector, right? And it is too time consuming, very expensive to implement. But those are all really the myths. One short video, which spanned for 3 minutes, was able to articulate the concept of lean, and everybody is now able to understand why McDonald's or any quick service restaurant for that matter is able to deliver so efficiently within the committed time. In India, Domino's have a commitment saying that if they don't deliver the pizza within 30 minutes, the pizza is considered free. Why is that so? And how are they able to achieve? Because they have already implemented lean. They were able to streamline the process and they have achieved that particular efficiency. Right? Now, talking about busting those myths and all, lean can easily be implemented in any domain. Like if you talk about my career, I started with industrial B2B and then got into digital marketing plus automotive retail and then into HR end-to-end payroll services, recruitment to retirement, and right now I'm with connected commerce industry. I'm able to implement lean in every domain that I work for. And I'm part of IT, I'm part of manufacturing, I cut across strategy, transformation, everything. And one advantage is you're able to talk to so many stakeholders and you get visibility to each and every aspect of that particular business. It's all about delivering faster, being efficient and also effective. Most importantly, customer satisfaction. So I'll tell you my own experience. Like when I sat in my Green Belt training class way back in August 2006, it was an enlightening session for me. Then itself I decided, okay, I think I have to pursue this path. Because that's more about being customer centric and how can you elevate your customer experience to the next level. And now I'm proudly I can say that I'm a certified master black belt in Lean Six Sigma from Indian Statistical Institute, Bangalore. And so far I've contributed to so many projects which have led to $1 million of savings across different organizations. And not only that, whoever is working with me, like I trained more than 2,000 employees across the globe and they are becoming efficient not only personal terms but also, not only professional terms but also personal friends. That is the beauty of Lean. So I'm going to talk about few concepts as we move forward. And before that, I come across this question. Hey, we're already implementing Agile. We're implementing Scrum. We are implementing feature-driven development, behavior-driven development, extreme programming, DSDM, so on and so forth. Why in the hell do we need Lean? Guys, Lean is all about setting a strategy at the corporate level. It's all about creating certain objectives so that you're coming up with a mindset which is dedicated to the customer focus. How many of you remember the slogan of Amazon? What is Amazon's slogan? Be the Earth's most customer-centric company. Right? That's why they're number one in e-commerce space. And they have dedicated Lean Six Sigma organization. Likewise, you name any big organization, they already have committed professionals who are actually driving their strategy, driving their transformation initiatives, so on and so forth. Right? So it's all about aligning your employees and your entire workforce to the purpose or the vision of the organization. That is set by the lean. By instilling this lean mindset, you are able to relate to how your work is actually contributing to the organization on the whole and how it is impacting the customers. Whereas using agile, you are able to implement the principles of lean, be it in the form of Kanban, be it in the form of your daily Scrum meetings, sprint retrospection. All these concepts have been borrowed from lean. And not only that, if it is coupled with design thinking, you can really do wonders. You know what is the secret of Apple's success? I think more than 90% of the folks in this room owns an iPhone, right? Why are we so fond of iPhone and all the Apple products? It is because of the design. It is because of the intuitive design that they have been created. And you know, Apple has already partnered with a company called IDEO, okay, and they have been working with them. That's why they are able to launch so many intuitive products which are making them, which made them the #1 technology company. And of course, there's a big story in terms of how Apple is able to succeed and capture the market share. We think Apple is just a technology company, but it is beyond that. And they're able to do that because of design thinking. So all these things are going to contribute to the success of your business, right? So this is how design thinking, lean and agile are going to complement each other, all right? So now let's try to understand the basics of lean. Okay, I want to ask you one simple question. Like when you happen to visit a mall, how many of you buy things just like that without looking at the price tag? Raise your hands, please. Okay, just 3. And rest of us, more than 90% of us, we look at the price tag. Right. Why do we look at the price tag?
Depends.
It's the same money.
Well, make sure it's
Worth it.
Is it worth it?
Is it worth it? So that is nothing but your value, right? If I want to open a debate between Android and iOS users, right? Always Android users complain saying that your products are so expensive and we don't see the value in it. But if you happen to talk to Mr. Tim Cook, he says I'm selling Apple products at throwaway price, right? You don't know how much innovation is involved and what goes into the R&D and what goes into making of these particular products and all. But remember one thing, whenever you are developing a product or delivering a service, think about what is the value that you are giving it back to your customer, not from the maker standpoint, not from the perspective of how you are producing, but who is consuming it? Are they really valuing it? Are they seeing the worth in it? That is the first link. Second one is mapping the value stream. Like think about any activity. Let's assume we happen to visit any of these drive-thrus, right? Like drive-thru restaurants, we order something and they're able to serve it on time. And how did it happen? Because I think you can correlate to the brief video clip that I have demonstrated that. But it has happened because they have mapped their values. It's all about jotting down each and every step that is involved in making that particular process. And while you do that, you have to question each and every step whether it is really required or is it becoming a bottleneck. Basis which you can identify non-value added activities, remove from it and make it efficient, right? And third one, establish flow. Imagine, like I have a favorite example, like before Taco Bell was streamlined as they are today, they were compared with McDonald's on the drive-thru front. McDonald's was seamless, whereas Taco Bell had a bottleneck. After placing the order, they had to wait before picking up their order, right? And why did it happen? Because they didn't establish proper flow. Normally, whenever you are laying out processes, make sure that the handoff between one process to the next process happens so smoothly and eliminate all the bottlenecks as sequence. That is about your third lean principle. And fourth one is implement pull. I think I was talking to Vijay Anna today, and he ordered Bentley. He booked Bentley, and it is going to be delivered by October. Do you know what is the reason why it is going to be delivered by October?
You never shared that with us.
Chip shortage. Chip shortage.
Chip shortage. Any other thoughts?
Configure to order.
Expensive cars.
It takes time, okay?
It's configured to order.
Configure to order, all right. But don't you think they have all those processes in place in order to make them.
Yeah, that's the automotive flow.
That's the automotive floor. And one
Customization? He wants his customized name on the.
that is that I call it as a out of the box thought process. But guys, observe mobile industry and automobiles, right? They are the pioneers in the lean implementation. And right now there is fierce competition in the automotive industry, right? Especially in developing countries like India, we have a waiting period for almost every successful model, like anywhere between 1 month to 6 months. The reason is very simple. They want to respond to the customer pull rather than pushing it to the market. Reason is simple. Because if let's assume Suzuki is one vendor and Hyundai is another vendor. Say Suzuki has launched Baleno and they are selling it $100,000 in a hypothetically, and they have good customer demand and all. Suddenly Hyundai came up with another model, similar in a similar price range, but lot more features, and probably they are giving a discount of $5,000 and they are selling it at $95,000. Where would the customer demand go? Would customers still stick to Hyundai, Suzuki or Hyundai? Hyundai, obviously, right? So manufacturing companies want to avoid this overproduction. That is the reason they go by the principle of implementing the pull. Like as long as somebody orders, they don't send the order to the shop floor, as simple as that. Similarly, at times, right, we tend to over deliver without knowing the customer requirements or the client requirements and all. But do you think it is going to add value to the customer? How much is the customer really consuming it? Just question yourself before you deliver. And last one is about work to perfection. And here comes my next question. Who is the recent Olympic winner for the 100 meter sprint? Usain Bolt? Bolt, right? And you know how many times did he win this medal in a similar 100 meter sprint?
3 times.
3 times? You would have satisfied when he won for the first time, right? Probably in 9.8 seconds, and next time he came 9.6 seconds, and again he came to the next Olympics and he did 9.4 seconds. Tomorrow some other bolt might come and do it in 8.9 seconds itself. That's all about work towards perfection. Don't be satisfied with whatever improvements that you achieve by following the first 4 steps. Always question the status quo, come back, revisit that particular process. You never know, you might do wonders. As simple as it. Right? Alright, so are you guys with me?
Yes.
Perfect. Now let's move on to the next one. I think this might really surprise you, but typically in any organization, if you keenly observe the processes that we are working on or the tasks that we are working on, they can be classified into 3 categories. One is the value added and the business value added and non-value added. I'll tell you one simple example. Let's assume somebody is commuting from his home to office, okay? And I'll take the Indian scenario because in the US you don't have those scales and all. Okay, I'll give you this particular scenario wherein you are commuting from your home to office, and there are certain intersections where you have to stop, and without that either you get a ticket or you might get hurt by meeting an accident, right? Whereas you cannot directly get teleported from your office to home, right? So commute is mandatory, which can be treated as value added. Whether you go by your 2-wheeler or 4-wheeler, whatever it is. Whereas stopping at a traffic junction, right, it is the business value added, which means somebody who is serving as a regulatory authority, right, they are keenly observing you whether you are really jumping the signals. In case if you are jumping the signals, you get a ticket, or else you might meet with an accident. Whereas the last one is non-value added, wherein maybe you are taking a smoke break or something else, and because of which you are spending about 10 to 15 minutes and arriving late to your office. Likewise, if you observe any process you take, only 5 to 15% of them in typical organization or value add, and rest again 10 to 15% will be of business value add, and remaining them are non-value add. Now comes the question: how do I identify non-value added activities? Are you keen on understanding what are non-value added activities and how to identify them? Yes or no?
Yes.
Can I get a bigger yes? Louder yes. All right. So let's move on. Here is a simple framework which is which depicts the different types of waste, 8 types of waste, and you can easily remember that using acronym downtime. D stands for defect, O for overproduction, W for waiting, N for non-value-added processing, T for transportation, I for inventory, M for motion, and finally employee underutilization. And I can talk about literally examples from any industry, but since we have majority of the IT and ITES folks here, I have created something, okay, which are highlighted in red here. For example, I asked my employee to send a report. Okay, I asked him to send March data, and that person actually sent me March 2021 data without checking with me. Am I going to use that data? Not really. So before you start working on it, get the expectations clearly. Make sure that you don't create any defects, because defects lead to rework. As simple as it. And sending a wrong report, bugs in software. I think folks in the QA department can easily relate to it, right? And there is a lot of blame game that happens between a developer and the QA saying that, it is working for me. Developer, I've always been in the shoes of the developer saying that it worked for me, you have to clear the cache and then test it. But QA always, they try to break the system. We always try to make the system, the debate goes on. But if you work in the interest of the customer, nobody breaks the system. Don't pass the defect. And the sooner you find the defect, it is easy to fix. But the longer it takes for you to fix, the expensive it becomes, as simple as. So defects are not good to the system. The next one is overproduction. If I go back to the example of this manufacturing and automobile, right? One of the reasons, and for that matter, all the quick service restaurants, all of them are made to order, none of them are made to stock. The reason is very simple. Because you cannot predict the customer demand, right? Always they pick up these ingredients and they go by the make to order, so that they don't waste all those finished products. Because in case if you are making a product and which is not used by somebody or which is not sold, you are wasting all your efforts in terms of your resources, your time, budget, everything. So overproduction is one of the worst types of waste. And if I want to relate it in the agile world, if you are delivering all features from the product backlog without properly prioritization with your product owner, that is nothing but an overproduction. Because you never know, all the features that you are launching, they may not be used by your end users. And next one is waiting. As simple as if I send you a text message, I'm waiting for you. And probably organizers for this particular event can relate to it, right? In case if you didn't get timely response from one of your core team members, probably it might have caused some sort of frustration, and also it will lead to chain reaction or cascading reaction wherein it leads somebody else also to wait, right? Wait and not responding to on time, to others on time, missing deadlines and paying penalty. I think those of you in the services industry, you have this commitment of maintaining 99.9% availability and responding on time, like meeting SLAs and all. In case if you are not meeting those, you are expected to pay some penalties. So by avoiding waiting, you can avoid that. And then non-value-added processing. Delivering more software features than asked, and then giving importance to cosmetic than that. I asked somebody to send a report in an Excel format, and that person tried to impress me and beautified with a lot of fancy fonts, colors and all. And I asked, why the hell you have beautified this? I'm going to upload this report to a database, and database doesn't care whether the font is in Times New Roman, Arial or Trebuchet or anything else. As simple as it. Always we have to observe what are we delivering, right? And don't, at times, in the over obsession of this customer also, we try to do something which customer may actually not value for it. So that is about your fourth type of waste. Next one is transportation, shipping physical documents instead of soft copies, and then inventory, too many resources on the bench, okay, with the anticipation saying that I'm going to get more business. But again, you might wonder, without maintaining bench, how do I manage my company? There are certain algorithms which are defined in the lean world, which you can implement, which are going to actually extrapolate based on your past performance, and that will give you optimal number, depending on what you predict, right? And then motion. So working, why all the agile teams are co-located? The reason is very simple, to avoid that particular motion. Because we all use these instant messengers, right? And somebody might be showing green, but they are not at desk. Somebody might be showing yellow, but they are at their desk. And we try to ping them and they don't respond. And they are in a different role. And all you have to do is go walk down or maybe walk up the stairs and reach them. Versus if all of you are co-located, you can simply tap their shoulder and ask them, hey, can you send this report? As simple as it. You have to avoid motion. And last but not the least, employee underutilization. You hired an engineer who is specialized in data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, but for whatever reason you gave him or her some mundane activity, and initially, since they have graduated now, they are on the fire saying that I am getting my first job, they'll be charged up in terms of doing whatever you assign. But if you are not doing the right skill set match, right, whatever the efforts that you have put in terms of hiring them, that will go in there. Always try to find the skill set and give them the appropriate opportunity. And don't give the qualified people some mundane activities or non-valued activities, because they are going to leave you. And that leads to attrition, and you know the cost of attrition. Right? So this is, in a nutshell, the summary of 8 different types of waste. And talking about the financial benefits, there are so many financial benefits once you start diving deep into your process and identifying the non-value-added activities, eliminating these 8 types of waste and all. Primarily, I want to talk about 2 things. One is the cost saving and the cost avoidance. Cost saving is about your current year. Avoidance is about future. Right? So, by inculcating or instilling this lean mindset, you can definitely save some dollars not only for the current year but also for the future. All right. So, any questions so far? Yeah.
The only one I would like to hear is you should have incorporated the TQM inside of Lean, so it will be more effective.
Yeah. Sure. Point taken. So TQM again. Somebody says Lean is part of TQM and TQM part of Lean, and that goes hand in hand. But yeah, total quality management is something. Yeah, I take it. All right. So any other questions or concerns before we move forward?
No, this is pretty good. I think after the session, I might just give like 2 pointers just to make it easy for the IT. But yeah, this is pretty good. Go ahead.
Sure. Let's move on. Now comes the question, like RPA is something which has revolutionized the process automation, right? And how do we relate Lean with RPA? In simple terms, if you remember the second Lean principle, I said map the value stream. By mapping the value stream, you are jotting down each and every step that is required to fulfill a particular process or to deliver a service or deliver a product, right? And in that particular exercise, you are going to identify certain mundane activities and certain non-valued activities and certain activities which are done manually, right? And you are able to identify automation opportunities which can serve as input to the RPA. This is how, again, Lean and RPA go hand in hand. Right? All right. So we move on, and I would like to conclude this session. Again, I just touched the tip of the iceberg. It is very deep. The Lean Six Sigma is a very deep subject, and I would rate myself as 5 to 6 in the scale of 10. And there is a lot to learn. And as in case if you guys are interested, you can have a free session with me wherein I'm going to walk you through how this can be implemented and all. Okay, I will be happy to involve in that conversation, but I would like to conclude this conversation with one quote, and this quote was given by Microsoft founder Bill Gates. And what he said is, the automation of a process, right? Can you move to the previous slide? Yeah. So business, right? So in case if you are automating a process, before you automate the process, lean it out. Because if you are automating an inefficient process, it is going to magnify the inefficiencies, right? So always make the process efficient before you automate, right? So that would be my concluding statement, and with that we'll move on to the next slide. All right, so you can reach out to me, you can connect through LinkedIn or Twitter, and I also host my own podcast called The Guiding Voice, and I'm on a mission to shape the careers and lives of millions across the globe. And as of yesterday, we have launched 216 episodes where we interacted with so many stalwarts across the industry, and one of them is a Padma Bhushan Award winner, and we have interacted with so many global CXOs. In case if you guys are interested to be featured as a guest speaker, please reach out to me. I'll be happy to host you. All right. So yeah. And if you have any questions, I can take, or else I would say bye. But thank you so much for.
That was rocking. I myself have learned so much out of it in the last 15 minutes that sometimes in life, right, you feel, hey, things are working. Why do you need to innovate, right? And you miss that entire beautification of the efficiency of work,
Yeah.
right? And it's also a shift in the mindset, right?
Yeah.
That many times they say that if it's working, why change it?
Yeah.
But there is always a room for improvement. And Mayor Vaki, if you remember, I was telling you that for the campaign we could move the voters from a negative mindset to a neutral mindset, and a neutral to a positive mindset for voting and all of those things. That's the implementation that we all can collaborate together and bring it to the table. But super overwhelming.
All right. Thank
I
you.
think
Thanks
a
for
big
the
round of applause for your fan for life.
All right, thank you
Thank you
everyone
so
for the
much.
opportunity, and thanks for being so patient in this.
So none of this could be done if we don't have our set of sponsors, right? The sponsors who are guiding us into our business, who are our value providers, as Naveen calls it. The backbone of any non-profit organization, right? So as you see, we have platinum sponsors in AIS.